You're being let go, effective immediately. That's what my father-in-law said. No warning, no lead-up, no apology. Just those 5 words dropped like a hammer in the middle of the Monday board meeting. 16 years, and he didn't even flinch. My name is Derek. I'm 43 years old, based in Charlotte, North Carolina. And up until 10 minutes ago, I was the COO of one of the fastest growing healthcare analytics companies in the Southeast, a company I helped build from the ground up. And just like that, I was out. No one at the table looked at me, not Kevin, the CFO. I recruited out of grad school, not Rick, who I coached through his divorce. Not even Thomas, the kid I trained for 2 years, who was now being named as my replacement. And yeah, Thomas just so happens to be married to the CEO's daughter. Neat little setup, huh? Quick note, before we get into it, share which city or country you're watching from. I looked down at the folder sliding across the table, my name on the tab. Inside was a severance agreement and a politely worded release of liability. You'll be escorted out, someone said. I think it was legal. I didn't catch his name. You're making a mistake, I said. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't beg, just said it straight. Thomas doesn't know the accounts, and you know it. My father-in-law didn't blink. It's a new direction. You'll be taken care of. Like I was some old dog being sent off to the farm. I stood up. No one moved. I looked around the room and waited for a single person to make eye contact. Nothing. The same men who toasted me at my wedding, who knew my kids' birthdays, who called me at midnight when deals were falling apart. Suddenly, they were statues. I walked out without saying another word, not because I was calm, not because I was okay, but because if I'd opened my mouth, I might have flipped the table. I kept walking, past the floor where I'd spent more nights than home, past the photos of leadership where my face still hung, down the elevator, into silence. Security met me at the lobby. 2 guys in black polos who looked more nervous than I was. I handed them my badge without a word, then turned back toward my office. All I could think about was everything I gave up. Little league games, anniversaries, birthdays. My marriage didn't survive the long nights and last-minute flights. I used to tell myself it was worth it, that one day it would all mean something. Apparently not. I shut the door behind me and locked it out of habit. Dumb reflex. My name was still on the glass, but it didn't mean a single thing. I started packing. Slow, quiet. Every object I touched had weight. The framed photo of my kids in their Halloween costumes. They were pirates that year. The deal toy from the Greystone merger. The leather notebook I used to scribble on during calls, half the pages filled with bad ideas and late-night notes. Drawer by drawer, I dismantled my own history. Then came the knock. Joel stepped in, eyes red and glassy. His jaw was tight like he was trying not to lose it, but the second he saw the empty bookshelves, he cracked. They asked me to stay, he said, voice shaking. Said I'd be reporting to Thomas. I dropped the stapler in the box and turned to him. Take it. He looked stunned. What? You take the job. You got a mortgage, a kid in braces. I'm not going to let you blow your life up over me. He wiped his face with the back of his hand. It's bullshit, Derek. You built this place. You taught me everything I nodded. Yeah, and I taught you how to survive. So survive. Let them pretend it's business. We both know it's personal. He hesitated, then stepped closer, lowering his voice. They're saying the Lindale acquisition was your fault, that you overextended, that it's collapsing. I laughed, bitter and sharp. That deal was in the black 6 months ahead of schedule. They needed a scapegoat. I'm the easiest one. Joel shook his head. I saved the emails, the metrics. If you ever need them, I don't. Let them dig their own grave. My phone buzzed on the desk. Unknown number. I answered out of reflex. Derek, a woman's voice, sharp, clear, no hesitation. Denise Hart, CEO at Evergent. I straightened. Didn't expect this call. I heard what happened. You free for lunch today? I paused. Depends. What's this about? Opportunity, she said. Let's just say I've been watching your work from across the fence. Thought it might be time we had a conversation. She named the restaurant, Old School Steakhouse on the other side of town. Her turf, not mine. I didn't respond right away. Joel was still standing there, watching me like I'd just stepped into traffic. Yeah, I said finally. I'll be there. She hung up without another word. Power move. I turned back to Joel. You'll be fine, I said. Keep your head down. Play the gikop. He swallowed hard, nodded, then stepped forward and hugged me, tight, no words. When he left, I sat down in the empty chair. Just for a second. Let the silence settle. 16 years reduced to a cardboard box and a half-hearted escort. I stood up, grabbed the box, and walked out. Not a single person looked my way. Phones kept ringing. Emails kept coming in. The world moved on. But something shifted in my gut. Not fear, not loss. It felt like the first breath after drowning. The steakhouse smelled like cigar smoke, wood paneling, and old money. No hostess in sight. Just a guy in a suit nodding at me, like he already knew who I was. "Ms. Hart's waiting for you in the back," he said. I followed him past a few half-empty booths. Old businessmen drinking scotch with their jackets off, murmuring like the room itself didn't allow raised voices. It was dark, classy, and the kind of place you only walked into if you belonged. Denise Hart definitely belonged. She was sitting in a corner booth alone, black blazer over a gray silk blouse, glass of red in front of her, untouched. Her posture screamed calm control, like she didn't get nervous because nothing in the room could touch her. She stood to shake my hand, grip firm, nails clean, eyes sharp. "Glad you came." "You don't waste time," I said, sliding into the seat across from her. "No point," she said. "You already know why I called." I leaned back. "I'm not looking to jump ship for a better title. I just got gutted out of my own company." Denise nodded, like she respected the honesty. "That's not what I'm offering." A waiter appeared, dropped menus, vanished again. Neither of us touched them. "I'm not here to hire you, Derek. I'm here to partner." That word hit different. "You'd be an executive, yes," she continued, "but with equity, decision-making power, full autonomy in your division. I've been waiting for someone with your background and client relationships. Someone who knows how to build, not just maintain." I watched her for a second. No pitch deck, no rehearsed lines. She wasn't selling, she was stating facts. "Let me guess," I said. "You want the capstone account." She smiled. "You managed that contract for 6 years. Everyone knows you were the reason they stayed with your old firm." I raised an eyebrow. "You're asking me to go head-to-head with the company I helped build." "No," she said, leaning in slightly. "I'm offering you the chance to build something better. On your terms, with leverage I didn't answer right away. My gut was tugging in 2 directions. One part of me wanted to throw the table over and go scorched earth. The other part, the quieter one, was still bleeding. "You've read the headlines," I said. "You know they're already trying to pin the Lindale deal on me." "They're flailing," she replied. "The board's scrambling. That's why they put a rookie in your seat. Nepotism over experience. They'll regret it, sooner than they think." I stared at my water glass. "I've got a non-compete." Denise reached into her bag and slid a single piece of paper across the table. "I had my legal team pull your file. That clause is sloppy. Your old company rushed it. It only limits direct solicitation, doesn't stop consulting, doesn't block indirect involvement. It's basically Swiss cheese," I read it. She wasn't wrong. The language was vague enough to drive a truck through. "I'm not the guy who wants revenge," I said. "Good," she said, "because this isn't revenge. This is business, but if hurting them a little sweetens the deal, I won't stop you." She pulled a card from her jacket, slid it toward me. Just her name, her direct number, and one word, partner. "No pressure," she said, "but I hope you move fast. That account's going to shift soon, and if they lose Capstone, their credibility crumbles." I slipped the card into my jacket. "I'll think about it," Denise smiled. "You'll do more than that." She stood, smoothed her blazer, and walked out without another word. No handshake this time. I sat there for a minute, not even pretending to touch my drink. For the first time since the boardroom blindsided me, I didn't feel powerless. I didn't feel fired. I felt dangerous. And I wasn't sure that was a bad thing. By the next morning, I'd made up my mind. We met again, this time in her office. No wine, no small talk. I signed the contract, nothing flashy. Clean consulting agreement under a new LLC RMD strategies. My initials, my rules. She didn't blink when I asked for full autonomy. "I don't want to manage you," she said. "I want results." She got them, fast. The first call came 3 days later. Capstone Medical Group, the crown jewel, the one I'd nurtured for 6 damn years, through budget cuts, leadership changes, and pandemic chaos. Their COO, a guy named Barry Kramer, called my personal cell. "We heard what happened," he said. "We're doing a routine vendor evaluation. We'd like your input." Strictly as a third-party consultant, I didn't have to ask what he meant. "You want me to help you look at the market," I said. "Exactly." Independently, he replied. I set up a virtual call, laid out a full side-by-side on their current vendor, my old firm, versus the top competitors. I didn't trash anyone. I didn't need to. The numbers told the story: missed deliverables, slower implementation, staff turnover, and the kicker: they couldn't locate half the analytics dashboards I'd built. "That was all you?" Barry asked, sounding annoyed. "Yeah," I said. "I built those systems from scratch." Noted. 2 days later, Capstone pulled half their data operations for internal review. The silence from my old firm was louder than anything, but the texts started rolling in. Rick: "Dude, Thomas can't find the vendor logins." Kevin: "He just rewrote the onboarding packet and sent it to the wrong list." Joel: "Board's panicking." "Morale's in the toilet." I didn't reply. I was too busy building. Denise gave me full budget authority, so I reached out to 2 guys I knew had been wasted for years. Eddie from BizOps, brilliant, quiet, always buried under bad leadership. And Ryan from Finance, the only analyst I ever saw call out a VP for bad math in a live meeting. I didn't poach them. I waited. Sent one message: consulting opportunities. "No pressure. Call me if you're interested." They both jumped, formally resigned, no contracts violated. My lawyer made sure it was airtight. We set up shop in a co-working space with a coffee pot, 2 whiteboards, and a shared hatred for corporate bullshit. By week 2, we were consulting on 3 vendor realignments. Capstone kept feeding us data, feedback, questions. The trust was still there, just redirected. Denise dropped by one afternoon, leaned on the doorframe, arms crossed. "You're moving fast," she said. I looked up from the whiteboard. "They're making it easy," she smiled. "They always do, once they get comfortable at the top." Back at my old company, comfort had turned into carelessness, and we were turning that into leverage. 2 weeks after the vendor audit, Capstone's legal team sent the official termination notice. They were pulling the contract from my old firm and awarding it to mine. They didn't even blink. Just signed the agreement, wired the retainer, and looped us in on a strategy call the same day. By the next morning, the industry press went wild. Capstone dumps longtime analytics partner for lean newcomer. RMD Strategies wins major healthcare deal in shocking upset. Where is Derek Munro now? I didn't do interviews. I didn't post on LinkedIn, but people filled in the blanks. By close of business, my old company's stock dropped 18%. 18. Denise printed the ticker graph and taped it to our office fridge. "For morale," she said, smirking. I pretended not to care. Truth was, I stared at that chart every time I poured coffee. By day 3, more dominoes started falling. The Lindale acquisition, the one they blame me for, went public with delays, cost overruns, and compliance gaps so bad even the state was poking around. The same acquisition I'd stabilized 6 months ahead of schedule before they cut me loose. Turns out, without me babysitting it, everything fell apart. And the best part? I didn't have to lift a finger. The documents started leaking on their own. Emails, meeting notes, internal red flags that got buried. One memo, dated 3 weeks before I was fired, showed Thomas pushed to fast-track a vendor switch without due diligence, the same vendor that missed the last 3 compliance audits. Shareholders started asking questions, loud ones. Then, late one night, I got a message from Joel. Joel, CFO just admitted it. Board lied to cover their asses. I stared at the screen for a long minute. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt pissed all over again, because it confirmed what I already knew, that I wasn't fired for failure. I was fired because I made them look lazy. I held it all together, and the second I stepped out, it crumbled. That company didn't need Thomas. It needed a fall guy, and I played that role just long enough to let them choke on their own arrogance. Ryan walked into the office holding his phone. "We're trending," he said, eyes wide. Eddie laughed. "I didn't think we'd go viral for not saying anything." "Exactly," I said. "We didn't leak. We didn't sabotage. We just left Denise showed up later that afternoon. She had a bottle of something expensive in one hand, and the biggest smile I'd seen on her face yet. 'This,' she said, 'is why I backed you.' We popped the cork, poured a few glasses, and stood there in our little borrowed office, watching the smoke rise from the company I helped build. Not because I set the fire, but because I stopped putting it out. The next morning I was staring at my laptop when my phone lit up. Block number. I let it ring once, twice. Then I picked up. Derek. His voice hadn't changed. Smooth, cold, confident. That fake calm he always used when things were going sideways. "Didn't expect to hear from you," I said flat. "I wanted to talk directly," he said. "Things have shifted. The board's reevaluating the situation." I leaned back in my chair. "That right? There's an opportunity here," he continued. "We'd like to bring you back in, not full-time, just in an advisory role. Strategic, high level, no politics, no red tape." I didn't say anything, just let him keep talking. "We're willing to offer a generous package, equity, bonus structure, full access to your old team. The man fired me 2 weeks ago like I was a broken printer, and now he was dangling my old job like bait on a hook." "You done?" I asked. He paused. "Look, Derek, we both know you understand this business better than anyone. We were wrong about how we handled things. I'll own that, but we can fix this." I stood up and walked over to the window, looked out over the city, same skyline I used to stare at from the 22nd floor of his building. Now I saw it from my space, my turf. "You're not calling because you respect me," I said. "You're calling because you're bleeding, and I'm the only one who knows where the bandages are." "Don't make this emotional," he said. "This is a business decision." "Yeah, that's the problem." "It always was," he sighed. "We can make this worth your while, Derek. I can get the board behind this. Name your terms," I laughed. "You think this is about money?" "I think it's about your legacy," he said. "Don't walk away from something you helped create." That hit a nerve, and not the way he meant it. "You're right," I said. "I did help build it. Every late night, every account, every damn dollar. And you gutted me like I was nothing, so no, I'm not coming back. Not for equity, not for perks, not for you." There was a pause. I could hear him breathing, slow, controlled. "You're making a mistake," he said quietly. "No," I said, stepping away from the window. "You already made it. I'm just done cleaning it up." Then I did something I'd never done in 20 years. I hung up on him. No goodbye, no second chances, just silence. And it felt better than any promotion he could have offered. By the end of that same week, the cracks weren't just showing. They were splitting wide open. 3 more clients walked away from my old company. Every single one had been my account. One of them, Madison Health, left mid-contract and paid the early termination fee without blinking. That told me everything. It wasn't about numbers. It was about trust, and the trust followed me. They didn't care about logos or who owned what. They wanted me, the guy who took their midnight calls, who showed up to fix things in person, who knew their systems better than their own IT directors. Word spread fast. By Tuesday, my inbox was packed with quiet messages from other firms. Thinking about a change, wanting to explore new partnerships, heard good things about your group. Denise and I stayed late that night in the office, files spread across the table, her blazer tossed over a chair. I had a Red Bull in one hand. She had whiskey in the other. "You realize what this is?" she said, pointing at the list of new clients coming down the pipeline. I nodded. "It's a shift." "Not just a shift," she said. "It's a collapse. You didn't just take your value. You took their foundation." I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just stared at the names on that list and felt the ground changing under them and solidifying under me. That night, I got a message from someone I hadn't heard from since the firing, a former board member. Warren stepped down. Thomas was let go. No statement yet. Lindale's officially dead. I read it twice. Lindale, their golden goose, the one they pushed through after I was gone, was sinking under a pile of compliance holes and missed benchmarks. I hadn't said a word to the media. I hadn't leaked anything. But when I left, I took my systems, my structure, and the silent authority I'd built behind the scenes. And now that it was gone, the whole thing was caving in. Denise glanced over at me. "You all right?" I took a breath. "Yeah, just watching it fall." She nodded, poured another splash of whiskey. "It's not about revenge anymore, is it?" "No," I said. "Now it's just business." And for the first time, it was mine. I stood at the window of my new office, coffee in hand, watching the skyline stretch across the river. The old building was right there. Same glass, same logo, same floor I used to run. But it looked different now, smaller, like it was shrinking under the weight of everything they'd tried to hide. My name wasn't on that building anymore, and I didn't want it to be. Behind me, the door clicked open. Denise walked in, no knock, no announcement. She didn't need to. She held out a folder, signed. I opened it. The Mayo contract. 24 months, full analytics overhaul, first right of renewal. The biggest deal either of us had ever closed. I whistled low and set the folder on the desk. "That's a monster." "You earned it," she said, taking the chair across from me. I didn't sit. I just turned back to the window. That day in the boardroom flashed across my mind. The silence, the envelope, the fake sympathy. "You're no longer needed?" I remember every damn word. And now, I didn't feel angry, not even close. I felt solid, steady, because I didn't win by tearing them down. I won by walking away. They thought firing me would bury me, but all it did was clear the path. I took my knowledge, my time, my reputation, all the things they thought they owned, and I used them to build something better, smarter, leaner, stronger. I glanced over at Denise. "You ever think how fast this all happened?" She shrugged. "No such thing as fast when you've been ready for years." That hit, because I had been ready. I just didn't know it until they forced my hand. Now I had everything I never thought I'd get: control, respect, peace. And I did it without begging for a second chance. The sun hit the windows of my old building just right, blinding for a second, then gone. I took a sip of coffee and turned back to my desk. There was work to do.